Hey, good morning. This is Steve Crossley. I am Hammerhead and Hammerhead Outdoors. I am leaving in a week or so, 2 weeks, March 2nd, to go on start my section hike at the Appalachian Trail. So I am not a through hiker, so I'm going to hike. My goal is to hike the Appalachian Trail over many years, and I'm going to start like a through hiker would in roughly March 1st, give or take a couple weeks in the southern end in Amicalola Falls. I'm gonna hike the approach trail, hike through Georgia, and end a week later in at Dick's Gap at the top of Georgia Hostel. And this is the start of this channel. Is Hammerhead Outdoors, is my outdoor adventures. I have been since 2003. My family and I were on a family vacation. We used to take hiking vacations in North Georgia, and we go to different parks. They have cabins at all their parks. Most of those cabins were built by the CCC, just like the huts on the or the shelters on the Appalachian Trail. And I had never heard of the Appalachian Trail. I'm from South Florida, and all of a sudden we're up there hiking, and it's it's through hiker season. It was like April, and I went over to the lodge. We were in a cabin, and it was raining, so I went over to the lodge to see what the lodge was all about, see if it was somewhere we could stay in the future. And all of a sudden, I see the books in the actual gift shop. So I bought Walk in the Woods. This is 2003. I think that was the year AWOL was on the trail. And I started reading how to prepare for an Appalachian Trail through hike, backpacking. I never backpacked, only day hiked up to that moment. And so I went down to the visitor center, which was down the mountain from where we were staying, and read about, talked to the people there. Saw some through hikers leaving. There were some through hikers staying at the lodge that day, and so I realized that the approach trail was actually right there. So we had already hiked up the falls. Back then, the approach trail did not go on the stairs of the falls. It actually went up the side of the mountain in front of the lodge. So anyway, while we're there, I hiked the approach trail 3 or 4, about halfway up, and I was hiking with my family, and they since the approach trail is basically straight up 2,000 foot climb from the visitor center to Springer Mountain, they didn't want to get that far. But during that family trip, we had booked ourselves at the Hike Inn, the Lenfoot Hike Inn, and just fell in love with the idea of, man, we have made a footpath from Georgia all the way to Maine. Used to live in New England for 10 years when I was on submarines, and I just thought, man, I never knew it was there. I wish I'd have done more hiking at that time. I actually started hiking later in life. So anyway, I've been following people online, reading blogs and trail journals, and then also obviously YouTube once it came out, watching people hike the trail every year. My wife finally said, you know what, if you wait until you have 6 months at your job or 5 months that you can hike this thing, you might never do it. So why don't you take a week's vacation every year, start when you would normally start, hike a week, come back next year, start a week later, and start where you left off, and then eventually get to Katahdin, which obviously is going to take, since I'll never get my trail legs, then it could take me a long time. But hopefully as I get older, I'll have more time. I can do 2 weeks at a time, or maybe a month at a time, and get further down the trail, and do this before my legs give out, or I go to heaven, one of the two. But I will be able to experience the months as a through hiker would, starting March 2nd this year, which is a Saturday, on the approach trail, and then over to Dix Creek a week later. So I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to see through hikers and support them any way I can while I'm there, and then experience the trail. I've hiked a good bit of, I've hiked probably 70 or 80 miles of the trail to date in different states, but would like to do it sequentially. So this is the best way I can do it. So this is what I'm doing, section hiking it. What's the negatives of section hiking? I never get my trail legs. I never get my trail hunger. I can, the upside is I can carry a little more stuff. I'm only carrying it for a week. I'm carrying it for literally 7 nights, 8 days, and I can take some extra stuff. My pack with food and water is going to be, 30 to 35 pounds, depending on how much food and water is in there. Base weight's in low 20s. So it's I don't have to be as concerned about every little thing or the most perfect gear. If for some reason something negative happens or some piece of gear fails, I'll just walk off the trail and get a ride to my car and start there next year. So my gear is not that young. I'll do another gear video here in a minute about my big three, but I'm very excited about this. I'll be up there in Georgia, gonna go fly fishing like 2 days before I start, and then I'm gonna actually bring my vehicle to Top of Georgia Hostel, pay them to park there during the week. They're gonna shuttle me down Saturday morning at 8 o'clock down to Amicalola Falls to the visitor center, and then I'll start my hike there. And then Tuesday night I hope to stay in the Blood Mountain cabins, so get inside, get dry if I need to, and get a shower if I need to. And then I'm going to leave half my food at mountain crossings, and then pick up the other half of my food and hike on out from there to Dick's Gap, and then walk over to Top of Georgia Hostel where my car is. So that'll be Saturday a week later. So very excited about it and looking forward to getting on the trail. I've got some good new gear and some of my old gear pieced together. Going to go with everything I have that works, and see how it works, see how I feel about it, and then change things up for next year if I need to. If not, I'll keep on keeping on. Most of my Christmas presents this year were different pieces of the puzzle, and we'll talk about those as I go along. So love you guys. Stay tuned. It's going to be a fun trip. I'm chronicling this for my family, my grandkids, only one of which is born yet, but we'll have a bunch more, and I want them to see what I'm doing and be able to see Grandpa, or in my case Lolo, and see how he's having fun and what he does outdoors, and hopefully they'll be inspired to get outdoors and get off the computers, get off the smartphones, and have some fun. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Be back. Bye. Hammerhead out.